Hey y'all, how you doing? Okay, we're hitting our part 2. All right, so we were dealing with the programming of fear, right? Of fear programming. And so we left off actually on one of the most important things. So welcome back to anyone that comes back and watches me. How you doing? I am Divine Celiane. Very glad to see you. If you are new here, welcome here. You are very welcome. The messages I give are for spiritual purposes, and I always preface it with, if you need to see a mental health advisor, please do so. I am not a therapist. Don't want to be one at this time, but I am an ordained minister, spiritual advisor. So, with that being said, I give the perspective of self-love and why it is so important in the things that we go through from that aspect. And so here we go. All right, so we left off on the fear of being us. Okay, now I touched upon it, and I'm referencing my notes, right? I'm touched upon it when it came to the fear of people not accepting who we are as a person, but we're going to dive into something a little different. We're going to talk about the fear of being us when it comes to us complying, when it comes to choosing material items over people, that kind of thing. So by society, we are programmed to want to make the quick money. We are programmed to want to be celebrities, to want to be sports stars, because you get all these material things and life is better when you're rich and has money. Okay, let me explain something to you. Okay, from somebody who has not been there, but I have had friends that are there. I was always a person that wanted to reach for that. One, because I knew I was good and I could do it. Okay. But two, I'm one of those hard-headed people when Spirit will help them and help save them, and I'd be like, why didn't you just let me fall? Why didn't you just let me experience what I wanted to experience? But Spirit will be like, no, I can't let you, right? But I've seen my friends, and I've had friends that's been in that lifestyle. And I've seen the unhappiness. I've seen the happiness in being able to get what you want to get when you want to get it. But I've also seen the unhappiness of people trying to use them, and really people not being real with them and not wanting to really be around them, especially if they're not paying for stuff for those folks. So the fear of not being accepted of who we are as a person, as opposed to what we have to give others or what others can manipulate and control. A lot of times people are afraid to be themselves for this reason, because once they are, the term is suckers born every minute, right? Or good guys finish last. That depends on who you're dealing with. If you're dealing with people that are brought up that way and that's their thing and that's how they are, then yes, in that aspect. But if you're dealing with people that value people over material items, that know you can take it or leave it, because when you die, you can't take it with you, so what is the purpose? Those type of things, then that's different. Okay, that's a little different. So, businesses, okay, present fake people depending on what the nature of their business is to get you to buy, right? Robots, one of my favorite movies. And the slogan, why be you when you can be new, right? So prevalent right now. They were talking about how these relationships between heterosexual couples are falling apart. So, when you have someone that's fake, though, and you wanted someone that's fake, again, I said it in one of my other videos. I remember in the 90s when men didn't want women to look like their grandmamas. They wanted them to look like Barbie dolls, but these men went and started living this fake-ass lifestyle to support this fake-ass person that they wanted. Then all of a sudden, you trying to figure out what happened to the family dynamic, why women don't want children, why you're expecting this, why this younger generation is expecting folks to pay for them and not do anything. You set it up. I cannot. You set it up. You told females you did not want them looking like their damn grandmama and their mama. And you were going out getting these sports cars and shit like that, and you told these chicks to change. So, what did the medical industry do? Boom. Really? Money and plastic surgery and all this fake ass shit that people be putting on to look beautiful, right? And then you have these fake ass personalities. What did you think was going to happen? I mean, and then you have in the schools convincing kids that there's something constantly wrong with them, where they're afraid to do anything and be who they are and move, but then you're shitting on them when they do. What do you expect? You're giving double standards. What did you expect? So you're creating this fear in people they can't be who they are. And then you're spending billions of dollars in the medical industry and the pharmaceutical industry creating pills for people to find their joy, to be back to who they were when they already know who the fuck they are. You just convinced them they didn't. See, it's too expensive to live in fear, but you're not the one collecting money off of it unless you're the one doing the manipulating. Let's put it like that. Okay? A lot of money to be made in fear propaganda. So, fear. Families, and I touched upon this, families instill fear. Some families instill fear so no one else on the outside knows what's going on in families. Some families instill fear because they want to keep the trauma going and keep the control going there. Some instill fear because there's sexual abuse present and they don't want anyone else knowing and that it's in the home, so on and so forth. As a teacher, for this one, seen it too many times. Okay? Too many times, too many different types of manipulation there. Sometimes trauma is a standard in the household because of the parent. Okay, it can be the child, and the parent is trying to satiate that child or help that child, but many different things. But at the end of the day, society does not help us be ourselves when it comes down to us versus money. If it comes down to us versus money, the money is going to win when it comes to big business and when it comes to other things, depending on the long-term effect. If long-term it will make a business money, they will invest in you getting better. If short-term, it doesn't make any difference long-term or short-term, baby, you going down like a sinking ship. Okay? And the only time they really change their policy is when they get caught. I mean, that's just the way that it is. This ain't no whistleblowing and busting. This is just the way that it is. You can go out and check out any company and see that's just the way that it is. So the fear is instilled in you to not be you. Okay? I have a saying. If you can't love me when I look my worst, I don't have my lashes on. I don't have my nails on. I have my hair, have to be done, what else have you? Okay, so I am me. I am me, baby. Got my beads, got my neck. I'm me, right? I ain't got my rings on today, but I'm me. If you can't accept me and I look like this, I'm not going to be afraid. You do not need to be afraid. Because that person you think that looks good, better than you, acts better than you, making more money than you, what the fuck ever it is. My loves, if they can't love you at your basic foundation, then they can't love you when your house has all that shit on it to make it look better. If they can't love you as you're being built, when you were the broke down house that needed some TLC, and they want to come back when you're that big beautiful mansion, baby, if it's me, I'm like, you say your ass gone. You couldn't be here when I was being built, and you couldn't be here when I looked rickety. You can't be here when I'm at my best, because that means you don't know how to go through the hard fight with somebody, because you don't know how to go through your own pain of changing the programming. No. So, many things will teach you to be afraid of yourself. Many things will show you what you need to be, Your intuition and you know who you are and who you need to be. You know, and you are not your trauma. You are not your fear. I want to say that again. You are not your trauma and you are not your fear. You are love. You are a beautiful piece of love that is just waiting to heal. But the fear programming makes you more confused and makes you more chaotic, like everybody else. That's what it's meant to do. It's meant to show you you're not okay. Spend money here. It's meant to build up such a phobia in you that it becomes something that you have to see a medical profession for. It builds up this feeling in you that you don't know what's good for you because you no longer know what's real for you. So you don't know where to go and what to do. All that. Let me tell you something. 1, you do not need to be afraid of yourself. You are walking this journey. You don't need to be afraid of your potential. You don't need to be afraid of what you can do. Unless you're harming someone else and yourself. Okay. Now, if you're in that category, please seek help. Because that is not the norm. Even for a spirit. Not society-wise, but for your spirit. That's not a norm. Your norm is love. That's what you're born with. That's what your norm. But I know people that raise you will show something totally different and can change the whole ball game for you. I get that. But if you're not harming yourself or anyone else, continue to walk your path to you and the love of you. Getting to you and the real you. There's going to be some things about the real you don't like. That's okay. You can change them at any time. That's the cool thing about moments. And I've said it before. At any time, you can change what it is you don't like. You can change what it is that does not set in you. If you decide you want to change that trauma, baby, you can find that help and go and change that trauma. You can make the decisions for yourself. But don't be afraid of yourself. If you're not harming you or anyone else, there's no need for you to be afraid of yourself. There's no need for you to be afraid of your greatness and where you can go. Because a lot of times they teach us to be afraid of our greatness and where we can go. No. You honor where you're going. Because you and the divine are walking together. You honor that. You're not alone on that trip. 2, you don't need to have the fear of other people. Now, this is a big one. Because this crosses into relationships, friendships, families. Okay, listen. If you're around someone that harms you and instilling fear in you and uses that manipulation, you got to make the plan to escape when you are ready to escape. I have something I tell my friends, my family, and clients. When you're tired, you'll make that move. You won't make it until you're tired. You will know. You will know. So, for the love of you, that is something you have to figure out within you as to when to do it. Okay? But you have no control over people, right? You have control over you and your will. Even though people think they have control over other people's will by force. Okay? You have control over you and your will. So, you make that decision when you need to go. When you don't want to deal with certain people. When you don't want to take their shit anymore. When you don't want to take their browbeating anymore. When you don't want to listen to them anymore. That's your decision. How people treat you, that's on them. It's up to you whether you accept it or not. And when it comes to the fear of being hurt or in pain because someone else has caused it, and let's look at relationship-wise. Okay, baby. You have no control over that person, whether they stay with you or not. They can get up and leave at any time. But you don't need to beg that person to stay. If they want to leave, who's to say they're not clearing out the right space so the right person can be there? Don't keep people around that don't know how to love you and don't really want to love you. Let them go. Let them go. If there's a fear of, well, I won't have what I had before, no, you won't. You may have something better. You don't know. Where are you at in you? Where are you at on your journey to know what you will accept and what you won't? Where's the love of you to say, you know what, don't need that. I got something better here. I don't need that. Where's the love of you for that? So when it comes to people, there's no need to be afraid of people. And I'm talking about in normal living situations. I am not talking about fight or flight situations, okay? But you don't need to walk around afraid of people. You walk around afraid and living in fear in your life, you haven't lived. And sometimes we get caught up in situations we have to stay in that mindset. We have to stay in that place because we don't know other people's situations. We don't know what they're living with. I get that. I do. I get that. This is more for those, though, that are dealing with folks where they have the choice. And I said again, if you're a teen and you have a family that is very poisonous and stuff like that, baby, you're going to have to set up your plan for when you can exit stage left, you do. Okay? Or come to a resource, talk to your counselors at school, talk to your resources at school to see how you can get yourself out. Okay? Because I know, I have seen it happen with many teens too. So in dealing with people, don't be afraid of them. Don't be afraid of the pain they're going to bring you. Okay? People are catalysts for our lessons. Period. Whatever that lesson is. Sometimes these people are called in to teach us a lesson. Sometimes they're called in to make sure we got the last lesson and we actually learned it. We don't know what we don't know. And I know that kills us. I know. But we don't know what we don't know. Okay? So we have to take a step outside of ourselves so we can actually see the lesson and be privy to it. Figure it out. Okay? That's really all I have on that. But celebrate being you, please. Celebrate you. Please do. I cannot, y'all. Walking the path is difficult. And doing the work is difficult. It is. It was meant to be. Okay? It was set up for an easy way out. You're doing the work. You're doing the work. But once you move out of that fear, find what that fear is in you that makes you so afraid to move forward. Find what it is. As I said before in the first video, I have people like, I'm ready to go. I don't understand what this is. A lot of times, that fear is having to face something that we didn't face a long time ago. We tried to, we couldn't at that time. And it's so hurtful. We don't know how to. A lot of times we know we have to walk back through an experience to clear it out. And we don't want to. It hurts too bad. I understand. Journal it out. Talk with a therapist. Talk with a friend. Write a letter to yourself. Do a pro and cons list. You know, you can write down the situation, and you can write down on the other side, what positive takeaways can I take from it? Because every bad situation has a positive takeaway. What positive takeaway can I learn from it? And what did I learn about myself from it as well? You don't need to hold on to the memory of the situation. You just need to remember the lesson. But you don't need to remember the traumatic stuff. Meaning, you don't need to relive it necessarily, depending on what you're doing. If you're doing past life regression stuff, you will. If you're doing work with a therapist and you're trying to take steps back, like hypnotherapy and stuff, you will. And if you're supported and you feel supported with someone doing it, by all means. If you don't, find someone you feel supported doing it with, preferably a professional that is trained in those things. But you don't need to live in the situation as you're thinking back. What you need to understand is the actual lesson. That's what's of value. We're not having you go through anything for you to feel bad about yourself. No, absolutely not. It is so you understand where the fear is coming from. Okay? And again, as it's coming up and you feel like it's just too much to handle, if you pray, say your prayers to Spirit. If you're in a place where like your body has a reaction, go see a therapist. Go see a professional to talk to. That can be a spiritual guide. That can be a MFT, a license, Go speak to someone. Because these things are very hard to work through. Very, very difficult to work through. I get it. I so get it. I so get it. So, my loves, I want you to feel supported. I want you to feel loved. I want you to understand, even through the fear, you are loved. I want you to understand that. Even through the fear, you're loved. You are. And you got this. You're not walking this alone. There are so many people out there that feel this way. You got this. All right, loves. I love you. The next talk is going to be a pretty big one. And it's going to be dealing with our perceptions and how we see certain groups of people. And why we do, and the history behind it. And so that's going to be important because it's something close to my heart, myself. But something also I see one of my fellow communities dealing with that I would like to address. So that's for next time. I love y'all so much. And I want you to hold your head up high and get past this fear. Get past this fear. And walk in your confidence, every day. You have no reason not to. Walk in your confidence every day. All right, loves. I'll talk to you later. Namaste. Bye-bye now.